Oh, hello, the internet. Welcome to the stream. The stream. That's it. It's the stream. Hi, this is the advice stream. That's right. I'm your host, Jeremy International. We are live on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, as well as we're live all over on JeremyInternational.com. It's been a little bit of time. I took off last week, and I can't remember why. Why did I take off? Oh, that's right. I had a work thing early in the morning. So that's why I took off, because I had to get to bed early. But we're back. We will be playing Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis again. I have no memory. I have no memory where we left off. When I loaded my save, I have this map. I think we were in New York. I think that's where we're at because it's blinking. So we need to either go to Monte Carlo or Algiers. And we'll make that decision. If you have strong thoughts about which one of those two places I should go and have a red line flight over to, let me know. Because maybe you remember what I was doing last week in this game, but I don't. We're looking for Atlantis. I know that. I know that much. But I hope everyone out there, hey, Fred Undead, it is Jerem time. I'm going to go ahead and assume you pronounce your screen name there Jugsy. I'm going to say Jugsy because I like to say that word. And I think that I could realistically pronounce Jug5Y as Jugsy. So that's what I'm going to say. Welcome. We've got a number of folks over on Twitch. And we got some people creeping in over on YouTube. Facebook is you never know. Hey, I got it right. It is Jugsy. I'm so glad you're here, Jugsy. It's nice to hear from you. We have lots of questions to get through today, including one that came in mere moments ago that I am particularly excited because it is very relevant to my personal journey, life. But we've got lots of others. We'll get through them all. Not a guarantee, but I will, I can promise to do my best. That is, by the way, here's a piece of advice. The easiest promise you can ever give is a promise to do your best. It is ultimately an empty promise, but I do promise I'll do my best. But does that mean I get through them all or not today? I don't know. Good news is I'll be back next week. I'll be back the week after that. I have a incredibly needy cat that is trying to murder me right now. Hey, come here. Come here. If you're just a stream friend, here's my cat. He's very large. He's a big cat, and he's old and large and being very obnoxious. Maybe he'll sit on my lap for a little bit. So if you would like to seek advice from me, your friend Jeremy International, feel free to shoot it in the chat on any one of those three services I just mentioned. Once again, that's Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Or conversely, if you'd like to keep it anonymous, you can head on over to JeremyInternational.com. That's how most people do it. And there's a contact form there whereon you can get off my lap. I'm done with you. Just be cool, please. Where you can shoot me a question that way. Why, you might be thinking, does this guy, Jeremy International, feel like he can give people advice? Well, let me tell you. Hold on, I need a little drink first. Maker's Mark. Crunching some ice. Let me tell you why I think I am a person that could give advice on the internet. I'm not young, not old, but I'm getting there. And I've experienced things in my life. I've been around. I've seen 1,000 faces and average rocking them all. So I know a thing or two. I've got some city miles on my heart, you might say. I'm particularly qualified in providing things like relationship advice, interpersonal human connection advice. I think I can help you with. I'm not a doctor. I can't give you medical advice, but I can give you patient advice, as I've been a patient many, many times. So let me have it. I promise to do my best, which I think in this particular case is going to be pretty gosh darn good. And that's why I am here. I want to help you and I want to play video games. So why can't we do both live in front of a internet studio audience is what I'm saying. So if you're new to the show, go ahead and shoot in the chat. Any one of those places, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. I have a apparatus here where it aggregates all of those chats. I think that's the right word. It aggregates them into a single place. So I can communicate with you, the viewing audience at home. But if you have strong feelings about, or if you remember what I was doing 2 weeks ago about Monte Carlo or Algiers here, let me know. As a reminder that this playthrough of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is unofficially brought to you by Blue Diamond Almonds Bold Flavor. These are the wasabi and soy sauce. I think that's probably my favorite, but I only have a few of these left. And so I'm kind of mixing it up with the spicy dill pickle, which are also very good. Blue Diamond Almonds does not give me any money, but if they wanted to, I would take it because I think it's a quality product and I enjoy them regularly very much. So if you're out there, Blue Diamond Almonds, hit me up. Hit your boy up. I can make this a regular thing. I'm only going to be unofficially sponsored for the remainder of this Indiana Jones playthrough. Those pair, by the way, particularly well with my Maker's Mark whiskey. Here's the thing about Maker's Mark, if you like bourbon, is Maker's Mark isn't so good. It's not so expensive that you feel bad if you mix it with something. You can do that. But it's also not so bad that you just don't want to drink it with a little bit of ice, which is what I'm doing right now. It's been a busy few days for me, guys. I have a job. I hadn't had a job for most of the time I've been doing this show, but I have a job now, and it's kind of intense. I'm enjoying it, but it's intense. I also had my therapy today, which is great and productive, but it's hard. It's kind of exhausting. Therapy, if you're doing it right, takes a lot out of you. Hour or 45 minutes of therapy. So no one's saying where they want me to go. So I'm going to bring the volume back. We're going to play for a little bit, and then we got some questions to read. But let's play for a little bit and, let some people kind of take their time trickling in to the stream. I'm going to go... I'm picking... So Monte Carlo it is. Hey, OMG Fred Undead. I'm not a great geography knower, but I don't think Monte Carlo is in Italy. It's all the way over here. Italy's here. And Monte Carlo's here. But either way, that's what we're doing. Man, the music is so well done in this game.
Well, here we are.
Indeed, here we are in Monte Carlo. I had no idea Monte Carlo was the lost city. What does Trottier look like? Oh man, I wish I remembered who Trottier was. What makes you think we'll find Trottier here? Suppose Trottier shows up. What then? Let's do this one.
What makes you think we'll find Trottier here?
Trottier.
All his letters mention how much he likes strolling under the bright lights.
Thanks, Fred Undead. Monte Carlo's in Monaco, which is not in Italy. What does Trottier look like?
Well, what does Trottier look like?
How should I know? I've never actually met him.
Man, I wish I remembered who that
by mail.
was. She's like a theater psychic.
Suppose Trottier shows up. What then?
Bring him up to my room.
Ooh la la. Inappropriate. This plan sounds like a hair. Let's do this one.
I had no idea Monte Carlo was the lost city.
Don't start with me, Indy. It's Trottier we're after.
This plan sounds kind of harebrained to me.
Don't worry, it'll work. He used to have one of the 3 stones. If we can coax him into a seance, he might let us have it.
Ooh, a seance. Ooh, a seance.
A seance?
I'll go get ready.
I like a good seance. Seance. Who's this? Talk to this Bojo.
Just a moment, please. Can you tell me where to find Monsieur Trottier?
Sorry? No.
Ooh, mon dieu. Can I go in?
The door is closed.
Oh, so I'm just talking to people. Let's walk down here. Talk to this guy.
Just a moment, please. Can you tell me where to find Monsieur Trottier? Possibly. Who wants to know? I'm Dr. Indiana Jones of Barnett College. Jones. I believe I've heard of you. Yes, of course, the famous archaeologist.
Oui, oui. Oui, oui, that's me. I always wanted to say that in
That's
normal
me.
conversation.
And I am Trottier. Amateur scholar, part-time poet, professional dreamer.
Did I just
My
find him?
horoscope told me to find a new path through life tonight. And here I bump into you. Ah, what good fortune.
That's weird. I mean, I feel like we're moving towards a seance scene.
Madame Sophia's in town and wants to meet you. Really? The great psychic? Oh, no wonder I felt restless tonight. Still, one must be cautious. I fear my wife will kill me unless I forget my crazy dreams. To persuade me to ignore her wishes, answer me this. Of what material did the Atlanteans carve devices to search for orichalcum?
This one?
Orichalcum itself. Oh, no, you're just guessing. Bonsoir, monsieur.
What? Hey,
Monsieur Trottier? Back again, Dr. Jones.
Oui.
What now? I've heard you deal in Atlantean artifacts. Aha, my reputation precedes me. I fear my wife will kill me unless I forget my crazy dreams. To persuade me to ignore her wishes, answer me this. What was Plato's great error?
distance. I think we talked about this before.
An error of distance. Oh, no, you're just guessing.
Yes, I am.
Bonsoir, monsieur.
Hey, wait. Oh, he got away. Is he coming back? Hey, you ding dang, come back. He's gonna come back. He has to come back. There he is.
Over here, Monsieur Trump. Back again, Dr. Jones. What now?
This seems like kind of a dumb mini game.
What can you tell me about Atlantis? Oh, that depends. I fear my wife will kill me unless
notice
I
how he
forget
says my wife like
crazy
Borat?
dreams. To persuade me to ignore her wishes, answer me this. Why did the Atlanteans build their huge colossus?
Huge. To make themselves like gods.
To make themselves like gods. Yes, excellent.
Oui.
Obviously, you know Plato's lost dialogue well. How
Do
can
I?
I help you? Madame Sophia would like to trade her wisdom for yours.
Yeah, I know,
I'm
Jugsy.
sure she would. And steal my secrets. What kind of idiot you take me for?
Oh, come on, dude. What? Hey,
Monsieur Trottier? Yes? Sorry about being so rude.
yeah.
I do not believe your sincerity.
Fred and Dad, are you trying to say Kile? Is that what that's supposed to be?
Over here, Monsieur Trottier.
Kile.
Yes?
Sorry about being so rude. Why don't you stop being such a jerk?
Hey, why don't you stop being such a jerk? Well,
Well, when I asked him to stop being so rude, when I apologized, he thought I was being insincere. And when I asked him to stop being rude, he gets all in a huffy.
Over here, Monsieur Trottier. Yes? Have a nice evening.
Oh no, I got it. My wife will kill me. Where'd he go? Where'd he go? There he is.
Over here, Monsieur Trottier. Yes?
So I've done all of these.
Sorry about being so rude. I do not believe your sincerity.
What if I... Here, what if I try to give him... this? Where did you go, you ding-dang? Ding-bat? There he is. Oh, I missed it. Give... Lost Dialogue of Plato to... this Bojo. Oh. It doesn't let me give him anything. Give National Archaeology. All I can do is talk to him. Can I look at him?
There's nothing to look at.
Can I... Let's try talking to him again.
Over here, Monsieur Trottier. Yes?
So none of these work. It's
Hey,
gotta
why
be
don't you
something
stop
else.
being such a jerk? Well,
Give this. I'm trying it again. Sometimes these games get a little annoying, I'm gonna have to say. But I'm committed so far still to finishing it. Or at least playing it for a little bit longer. Okay. No, talking him doesn't work. Giving him all of... Can I use my whip on him? Seems inappropriate in a public setting. Oh boy, can I pick him up? What if I pick him up? Can I do that? He looks too heavy. Talk to... Maybe I have to ask him the same thing over and over again a couple of times.
Monsieur Trottier? Yes? Sorry about being so rude. I do not believe your sincerity.
It also kind of sounds like the voice guy for the voice actor for him is the same voice actor for Indiana Jones. Doesn't it sound like it might be the same person? Look at... What if he sees me looking at this book?
Over here, Monsieur Trottier. Yes? Hey, why don't you stop being such a jerk? Well,
I think it's maybe this isn't the time to be here. I'm gonna try one last time, and then I'm gonna go somewhere else because I'm bored. I'm bored.
just a moment, monsieur. Yes? Have a nice evening.
Was there anywhere else for me to go?
Nothing interesting over here.
You sure about that?
I'm not leaving without Sophia.
Well, how do I get to her? Oh.
Did you find our man, Indy? Where's Trottier?
I've tried, and that fool won't come up here.
I hadn't thought about that possibility.
Yeah.
Just drop Nurab Sal's name.
Okay. Okay.
The door is closed.
Oh my god, really?
Over here, Monsieur Trottier. Yes? I just want you to know I work for Nurab Sal. Did you say Nurab Sal?
I did,
Perhaps
indeed.
you're not the buffoon I took you for.
Really?
Now, excuse me while I consider this.
It's hard because if you have to hit talk to and then click him, and if you don't miss him because he moves so fast, then you have to wait for him to come back around because you have to go all the way back down here. Yes, here he is.
Monsieur Trottier? Well, hello again, Dr. Jones.
Hello.
How can I help you? Follow me and Madame Sophia will read your fortune. Oh, this is a big step. I'm not sure. Come on, take a chance. She's right here in the hotel. Well, I do need a new spirit guide in my life. So, I'll do it. Please, lead the way.
Oh my god, finally. Oh boy.
It's open. Have a seat, Monsieur Trottier.
Is he here?
Okay, Trottier's all yours.
Oh, Monsieur Trottier, I am so pleased to meet such an expert antiquarian at long last.
Madame flatters me. It is I who am pleased to meet you.
Now then. A token of power will help focus my thoughts.
I wonder, if your concentration is so weak, perhaps I've picked the wrong psychic.
Psychic.
Please excuse me for just a moment.
Of course, madame.
Can I talk to you, Dr. Jones?
Oh my god.
I seem to be having some trouble tonight.
You're doing fine, but I'll take over if you want.
I want to try again.
No, I'll try again. Let's begin again, shall we? With a valuable antiquity.
I should say not. What are you running here? A sheep confidence game?
I'm afraid Nurab Sal is temperamental tonight.
Too bad. Another time, perhaps. Au revoir.
Oh man, what?
Guess I didn't pass the test.
I'll say, I'm taking control of this team.
Okay, let's take a little break from this. And hello, everybody. If you're just joining us, this is the Advice Stream. I'm your host, Jeremy International. The Advice Stream, if I haven't said before, is the stream where we sometimes have guests, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we play video games, and sometimes we don't. Today, we have no guests, but we're playing video games. We're playing, I want to say 1992's Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, a game I've always wanted to play that I never have. This is a very, what's the right word? A very specific genre of video game that doesn't really exist anymore. These point and click adventures. LucasArts made a whole bunch of these in the late 80s and early 90s. Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis is generally one of the more well-regarded ones, but if you've ever heard of Monkey Island as a franchise or Maniac Mansion, LucasArts did all of those very similar types of games. That's okay. And so we're playing this through. It's a little rocky at times. I don't know what I'm doing right now, but we'll figure it out. I think we're having fun. Jugsy, your chat popped up. I believe my iPad is having some random triggered touch issues. There was probably an electrical problem with my iPad because it keeps thinking I'm tapping in places where I'm not. Certainly hope it doesn't randomly end the stream in the middle of my conversation. That would be a bummer. But we do have some questions. I know, Jugsy, that was very late. I agree. I don't know why my iPad did that, but it sometimes does those things. And I should probably try to figure out how to fix it. But we do have some questions from the live streaming audience to go over. And I'm going to start with the most recent one. This one just came in just as we were starting our live stream tonight. Not going to share any of the letter writers' information. But I will read their question because this is something that's very particular to my individual journey on this island Earth, Starship Earth. Here we go. I've been working in a non-for-profit in IT for 5 years. In the private sector for 7 years before that. I've become increasingly burnt out and unmotivated, and I think it's best for both me and the business to move on. However, I'm sick of IT. I don't know how to manage re-educating or taking time to build something while I have mortgage and lots of pets to take care of. Have you ever jumped in the deep end in a life change like this? Is there anything that you could help my mindset or any ideas to smooth over a career transition? Let me tell you here, letter writer, I did something very, very similar. I worked in IT for 16 years and also felt like I was getting burnt out and kind of just disappointed with the confines that job gave me. So about a year ago, I left that job, very stable, very massive. You know, you're talking about doing IT for a not-for-profit. I worked for a very, very profitable giant corporation. I left, took a job in a startup, still a for-profit startup that I really believed in. And that was a really exciting place to be. And the product was the type of product that can make a lot of people's lives better if they have access to it. Doing something very different, not doing technical support, but doing training, teaching people. You know, my background, as I'm sure if you've seen a previous episode, you've heard, is in acting and theater. And this was the closest thing to making a living off of performing that I've ever done, is getting in front of groups of people and teaching them how to use these products. Products that have really big, impactful, positive effects on people's lives. I did that for just a few months, and because it was a small startup, they had a bad quarter, and I got laid off. So I took a big gamble, and that gamble turned out not to have paid off for me. It took me 7 months of applying for hundreds and hundreds of jobs until I found something that is back in IT. But it is a very, very different, and I had spent a long time convincing myself and everyone else in my life that I didn't want to do IT anymore. But IT is a really broad term, and it can take a lot of different shapes, and those are valuable skills. And I can tell you, it took me 7 months from when I got laid off from that training job to find literally anything that paid. And I'm back in IT again. And I have complicated feelings about that. I'm really thankful I have a job And it's a very different type of experience than what I've had before. And there's a lot of opportunity for me to learn and to grow. So the first thing I want to say is I get IT burnout because it's rough. But IT is a lot of different things. And there's a lot of different environments where you can do that kind of work that your experience is going to be very different doing it. So if you're thinking about making a big career change, just keep in mind, there's no way to do it in a way that's 100% safe, but there's ways to do it that in ways that are safer than others. The first thing I want to say is your first task should be to find ways to take the job you're in now and to try to have that impact your life in negative ways less. So, try to put it in a little box. If you have a commute, take that time to commute to divorce yourself from your job so that you're not going to take anything from your work home with you. And then when you go to work the next day, kind of take that as a transitional period. If you work from home and you don't have a commute like so many of us do these days, then have a commute, make up a commute, walk around the block a couple times, do something that makes it feel like a commute so that you have this kind of time to transition from personal life mode to work mode. And try really hard, short term, this is not a permanent fix, but try really hard to try to put your job that you're feeling burnout from into a smaller and smaller box so that it doesn't impact your life outside of those hours, whether it's 9 to 5 or whatever. If you have the type of job where they don't let you work 9 to 5 or you're like always on call or whatever, that's going to be a harder thing to do, but hopefully that's not the case. If it is, then you might want to speed up the process of the next thing that I'm talking about. Is if you really want to get out of IT, and this is, what I did when I switched into this kind of educational training role, is I thought really hard about the non-IT skills that I have or the skills that I learned in my time doing IT and figured out what I could do, what I'm able to do, and then also what I can do that's not going to make me miserable, that's going to maybe not make me happy, but not make me miserable. Remember, if work was pleasurable, they never would have invented fun. Work is work. And in our late stage capitalism, pre dystopia world we live in, work is work. And it's always going to be. So your goal might not be to find something that makes you happy, but your goal should be at least to be able to find something that doesn't make you miserable. Think about what you want to do. You need to pick a really specific, doable field you'd like to get into. And then, there's all kinds of ways to, I know you have a mortgage. You say, I'm not sure I see, and you got pets. So, having free time is going to be rough, but if you're able to put your work into a smaller and smaller box, maybe you can reserve some energy to do some online courses, get a certificate. You don't have to go back to college because no one who can afford to do that. But there are ways you can get certificates for not a lot of money. Maybe there's ways that you can try to do some volunteer, some freelance work in a field that you want to do. But, this is like such a hard thing to be able to do for an adult in the world we live in is what do you want to do? Like, what's a job that wouldn't make you miserable? And is that realistic? Is that something, is it being an NBA star? Is it being an actor on Broadway? That's not realistic. You're probably not going to be able to do that. Don't think about doing that. But if you're able to find something that's achievable and that can also pay your bills, like I thought for a long time about becoming like a high school teacher, but I got too much debt. I got too many financial obligations to do. They don't make any money. So it's not something that wasn't an option for me. I couldn't afford to do it. I have to make more money than what most school teachers can make. So, you got to make those difficult decisions. And maybe what you can realize is finding something that'll give you fulfillment that's doable. And then you need to come up with a plan to get there. That would be the ideal situation here This is a long process. It might take years for you being in this job that you find is burning you out, to be able to figure out what you want to do and figure out what you need to do to get there and get to the point where you can start applying for jobs that'll meet those requirements. In the meantime, just put the job you have into a smaller and smaller box. Try to find things outside of your work hours that give you fulfillment. And maybe you can find some kind of peace, at least in the time frame it's going to take for you to get to the next thing. But it's really, really hard. And you don't say in your article, you don't say in your letter how old you are. It doesn't seem like you have kids, so at least that's another kind of financial obligation that you won't have to deal with, at least right now. Maybe, plenty of people don't want to have kids, some people do. But it seems like you've been working for a long time in a field you don't want to anymore. And the longer you work in that field, the harder it is to get out of it. And I think you should prioritize trying to find ways to put your work into a smaller and smaller box so that it becomes more tenable while you're figuring out how you need to get to where you're going to be. Small box. In my previous job, whenever I would find myself getting more and more frustrated or more and more, having this feeling of being trapped and disappointed, I would always, that would be like my mantra to myself is small box, small box, small box. And finding things outside of that time that make you feel fulfilled and happy, so that you can handle that time when you're at work and you're less of those things. But what's the called? Coursera is a great website where you can go and get certificates from real, IRL universities. And, they usually just take a few hours a week for weeks. Don't get me wrong. I got a certificate from them in instructional design while I was looking for jobs. And I actually had a good time doing it. It didn't cost a whole lot of money. And that looked good on my resume, at least hypothetically. Keep in mind, I did not get any of the instructional design jobs I applied for. So take that as it is. But I hope you can find something. But also, the last thing I'll leave you with, I said this at the beginning, but I'll say it again. IT is a very broad term, and there's a lot of different types of jobs. There's a lot of different types of work environments you could find yourself in and still do that work. Maybe, one of the tricks with working for a non-for-profit is non-for-profits usually ask for a lot more time and a lot more dedication from their employees because of the fact that it's a not-for-profit. And the idea of working towards, some moral or ethical goal is part of the motivation for people working there. So they tend to work more than 40 hours. They tend to give more than 100%. The flip side of that is, the IT work that I was doing for a giant for-profit corporation. So I worked 40 hours a week and that was it. I never worked a second over that. If I did, I got massive overtime. They didn't want to give me overtime. I didn't want the overtime because I wanted to have my life most of that time. So, that's another thing to think about is it might be similar types of work, but in a very different type of environment where maybe it's easier to get to maintain a work-life balance if you're working for a giant monster corporation, because they are going to be disinclined to make you work anything more than 40 hours. I hope that's helpful. There's not an easy way to proceed through this stage of your life, but there are ways to proceed. I'll summarize by saying small box, and then do some really hard thinking about what it is you would want to do and what types of skills you might not have right now that you need to get, and then look at how to get them. Actually going to college or grad school is almost always a terrible idea. I'm sorry to say. I have a master's degree. I'll be paying off for that until I'm in my 60s, and I very much regret doing that. So I would never advise anybody to go to grad school unless you are going to be able to get someone to pay 100% for it or nothing for it. So if someone's going to give you a free master's degree, go for it. But I don't think that usually happens for most people. And until our educational system gets fixed, I wouldn't advise anyone get any more schooling to go into debt for the rest of their life to get a degree that may or may not turn into a job. For sure, I certainly wish that I hadn't gotten mine. So good luck, my friend. I hope you can do that. But the small box, start with the small box. You need to be less burnout and less miserable in your day to day. I hope that helps. Whew. Yeah, that's a difficult one for me because I've been through a lot of similar things, and I've taken chances that didn't pan out, and in a lot of ways I'm kind of in a similar situation to where I was before, but I really like where I'm at right now. It is a very different, even though the work isn't dissimilar, the environment is very different. And I really appreciate that. All right, how's everybody doing? Should I keep playing the game a little bit more? If you haven't jumped in and said hi to the chat, please do wherever you might be streaming from. But I see we got Amiga Ria Enigma. Am I saying that right? You've been on before, and I always appreciate your contributions, but I feel like I'm ruining your name. I'm gonna say Amiga unless you tell me otherwise. What else can we talk about for a minute? San Diego Comic-Con was this past weekend. Was there anything that was announced at San Diego Comic-Con, SDCC, that you're particularly excited about, viewing audience? Am I losing my voice? I've been talking so much today. Talked a lot during the day too. Let's see. What did I didn't follow it super closely, but if you took in anything, okay. Thanks, Amiga. Thank you for joining the stream. We got Fred Undead, we got Jugsy, we got Amiga. I don't think anybody else is contributing right now. Oh, it's a Junji Ito story. See, I don't know that. I need to read. Tell me what Junji Ito story I should read. Junji Ito story I should read first. I haven't read one. Fred Undead keeps telling me to read them. I read a lot. I've been reading more than I have in a long time these days, guys. I just finished reading The Hunt for Red October because I'm an approaching middle-aged man that lives in a Navy town. And I decided I wanted to read that. That book, Hunt for Red October, is very much a piece of early 80s kind of like Reagan-esque propaganda. It's very like pro-America in the way that America was in the Cold War, different than how pro-America right-wing people are today. But man, it was a hoot. I had a blast. Reading it, and I had a good time. But I'm not sure what I'm going to read next. Maybe I should read some Junji Ito if someone wants to give me some recommendations, or just anything else. I read all kinds of stuff. I read graphic novels. I read comic books. I read manga sometimes. I read, like novels. I read nonfiction. I read it all. So help me figure out. This is a good conversation. Tell me what else I should read, everybody. Amiga says, I love Uzumaki, and I think it makes a great first Ito read, but the Enigma of Amigara Fault is also great and spawns some good memes. Ha ha ha. Here's what I'll say. Thank you. It's not Amiga at all. It's Amigara. I'm going to say Amigara now. I see now. I can read. I do like fish people. Fred Undead knows that I like fish people. I like stories and movies about fish people. Creature from the Black Lagoon's one of my faves. Here's the thing I should say when I'm asking for reading books, recommending for me to read. I'm especially emotionally fragile these days. So anything that's particularly bleak or dark or I'm not going to say violent, but like violent against like, if there's like violence against like children or something, I'm probably going to have a hard time getting through that. Just so that when you're giving me recommendations. I'm particularly emotionally fragile these days. Amigara says, oh yes, if you like fish people, go with Jiro, absolutely. Fred Undead says, Jeremy, we have Uzumaki and Jiro and a few other. I know we do. I know we have a growing library, and I should read something like that. Those are all good recommendations, and I'd imagine because they're graphic novels, you can get through them pretty quickly. I haven't read, to be honest, a lot of manga in my life. I've read some. I got really into Mobile Suit Gundam like a year ago, and I read the first couple volumes of that and really liked it. For sure, Geo. GYO, Geo. Thank you, Fred Undead. Yeah. It's so exciting when you're done with a book, because then you get to pick a new book and you could read anything. I could read anything. I could read the Communist Manifesto. I could read On the Origin of Species. I could read what else? I could read the Bible if I wanted to. I could read anything. Hard G. Geo. Am I saying it right? Geo. Or Geo. Geo? Yu-Gi-Oh. That'd be if someone took that clip out and Gyo. Wait, how about that? Gyo. Thank you. I did it. Amigara and Fred Undead helped me out so much. I greatly appreciate it. Fred Undead, do you know who Amigara is? Are you guys friends? Do you know who that is? I'll tell you, pronunciation in any language, including English, which is the only language I'm fluent in, is not my strongest suit. I have all kinds of valuable skills and knowledges, but that's not a word. But pronunciation is a struggle for me sometimes. Oh, Fred Undead and Amigara don't know each other. Let me help you out. OMG, Fred Undead, here is Amigara Enigma. Amigara is from Oldman's. Oldman might be joining us later today. They're not here right now, but they said they might come by later. Cool. Well, let's do a little, your friends now. Let's do another little reminder. This is the advice stream. We're live on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. I'm your host, Jeremy International. We are doing advice-related questions. I could just go ahead and do another one. We have a lot right now. And we're, in the meantime, playing Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. But to be honest, I'm a little stuck and kind of annoyed at Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, so I don't know. I need a few more minutes to deal with this one. Let me have a look here. About some questions that I have. Okay, here's one. Content warning. On the advice stream, we acknowledge the existence of sex. If you have a difficult time acknowledging the existence of sex, then please watch somebody else's live stream. Good luck, and also good luck with your life, because it's not going to be easy. Fred Undead says I should go to another location and leave Monaco. I think I will, but I'm going to answer one more question first. Here we go. Name redacted. I am a Catholic 20-year-old woman. I have dated people before and am currently 4 months into a relationship with someone who I have known for a long time. He is a great guy and is really supportive and kind. I am a virgin and cannot get around the fact of sex before marriage because my entire childhood, that's all I was taught. As a teen, I was told by people in my church community that sleeping with someone before marriage is a horrid thing, and I just can't get around that. I want to sleep with my boyfriend, but even if these same people would never know, I just can't shake the fact that I'm committing some horrible sin. How do I get over my fear? That's a doozy. That's a big one. And I guess I should start by saying that I am not Catholic, and I've never been Catholic. I'm not Christian. I've never been Christian. I wasn't raised in a Christian or of any variety culture. So I wanna preface my advice with that, and maybe this person who's written this question might want to seek advice from someone who has a similar cultural background than them, because it's certainly not me. But I will give you advice coming from my cultural background. And the first thing I'm going to say is you are 20. So don't feel under any pressure to hurry with anything. You are 2 years away from at least legally being a child. And despite what culture, the broader kind of secular American culture might tell us, that 20 isn't an unusual age to be a person that has not had sex with somebody. I think a lot of people want to think that everybody loses their virginity in their teens, and while certainly lots of people do, and that's their choice and good for them, if it's something that they choose to do, plenty of people wait until much, much later. I think a lot of young people put themselves under pressure to have sex with another person at a young age because they think that's what everybody else is doing. But at least is my understanding that statistically speaking, that's not true. The other thing I want to say is that virginity isn't really a thing. It's a social construct. It doesn't really exist. While certainly having sex with someone for the first time is a thing that exists. The idea of there being some state that you're in before you do that and then another state you're in after you do that is not true. Regardless of what your cultural or religious teachings tell you, there is no difference between a person that hasn't had sex and a person that has. That is a made-up distinction to have. Virginity is not a thing that you can give somebody. It's not a thing that you can earn from somebody else. It's just not a thing. However, for lots of people choose to decide that the first time that they have sex should be a momentous and special occasion. Plenty of people choose not to do that, by the way, and I think generally they're happier with the outcome. But if you're going to choose to make a big deal about this initial encounter, then take your time. You shouldn't feel under any hurry or any pressure to do that. If someone's putting you under pressure, then that's a good way to tell that that's someone that you should not have sex with. As far as the guilt that you are imagining having from doing a thing that you haven't done yet, like I was saying before, you should seek someone from a similar cultural background to give you advice on this. I would say that those values are, in my worldview, in my personal opinion, kind of nonsense. There's no such thing as hell. There really isn't. There can't be. And I hope that fewer people believe that it is. But, morality is morality, and people have moral compasses that encourage them to do one thing and then avoid doing another thing. And, avoiding having sex until you're married is a moral choice. Certainly lots of people choose to make for their own reasons. But I really hope that you can start to think about the idea of if God exists. I don't think that it does. But if God exists, the idea that he would send you to burn in a river of fire forever because you had sex before you're married to somebody, you can't see that makes sense, right? That's not the way that the universe could possibly work. And if such a God exists, he doesn't deserve to be worshipped in a way where you're going to do what he says so that he doesn't punish you in that manner. A lot of people choose to go through mental health professionals to kind of help them deal with these types of traumatic or I would even say maybe harmful ways of thinking that certain cultures instill on people. And that might be a good idea for you to do as well. But if you're not sure that you can have sex with a person without feeling really terrible about it afterwards, then maybe you should wait a little while and kind of sit with those feelings. If you're able to talk to a mental health professional, a secular one, and kind of start to handle that level of guilt. That might be a good idea. I guess what I'm saying here is if if you think you're going to feel that way afterwards, that's not a good way to feel. So maybe now's not the right time. If your boyfriend isn't cool with waiting, then also that's a really good way to know whether that's someone that's worth spending time with or not. Because if they're not cool with waiting, that either means that they don't ultimately care about you, or at least that their priorities and values are very different than the way that your values are right now. I would say that at 20 years old, wanting to have sex with someone is as good of a reason to have sex with someone that there's ever going to be. If you're going to feel terrible afterwards, just wait a little bit longer, figure it out. But you gotta be able to address that level of guilt, and maybe talking to, some religious leader from a different culture than yours to get someone else's perspective about how, if that's helpful to you, to get someone else's perspective about how other cultures view sex outside of marriage. That might be helpful as well. I think that the relationship you currently have with your religious upbringing doesn't sound very healthy, and it certainly doesn't sound sustainable. So I think reevaluating what type of connection you have to that culture, what type of connection you want to continue to have with that culture as you move through life, and what types of tools and resources are you going to pull from to help you manage or even form a new type of value system that's different than what you were brought up in, I think is a worthwhile part of your time. All of this is very much part of being in your early 20s for anyone, is you have what your childhood and what the family that you were born into has, and then you have to figure out what you're going to build as an adult. And then also the family, and I very much believe everybody has two families. The family that you choose, that you have chosen, that you will go on to choose for yourself as you become an adult in the world. I would say even the people that follow the religion and traditions and culture of their parents, even the people that follow that like almost to the letter, are still people that have had to make that kind of adjustment of how am I going to change and grow and reinterpret what I was brought up in to be something that's my own as an adult. Even when people live, 2 blocks down from their parents and go to the same house of worship and still do all of the same traditions, there's some part of that has to be their own. Everybody that's part of being a human being, everyone has to have something that becomes their own as they become an adult. So what's that going to be for you? Is it going to be a little different? Is it going to be a lot of different? Is it going to be something that's absolutely new and beautiful and brilliant that you yourself bring into the world from nothing? You have to decide that on your own, and you're just in the early stages of doing that. So don't rush yourself. Don't do anything that you don't want to do. And don't do anything that you want to do that you think you're going to feel bad about later. You got time. Who knows how much time anyone has? I mean, you get hit by a bus tomorrow. Oh man, then maybe you should just sleep with your boyfriend right away if you get hit by a bus tomorrow. I guess where I'm going at here is I'm not the person to ask this question, because when I was your age, I absolutely would have just slept with whoever was close by that wanted to sleep with me. So maybe you should ask someone else. I hope I helped you out a little bit. I gave a little speech. I think there's some nuggets in there somewhere. I'm not sure I could tell you what they are now, but why don't we get back to the game? That was the worst advice I ever gave anybody, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you that you asked me that question on a night like tonight where I feel a little strange. So let's go. We have to open the door again. Oh wait, or should I talk to her? Maybe I can tell her it's time for us to leave.
I'm sorry, Indy.
What do we do now?
Let's try again.
Thanks, Fred Undead. Fred Undead says that was very good. I hope some of it was good. We got a couple more questions we'll do up here in the forthcoming hour, but we're going to play for a little bit longer. And I think I'm going to see if we can go.
Sophia,
What more can I say?
this isn't working. Let's move on.
Okay. We could talk to a collector in Algiers who might know something.
Yeah, let's do
Omar
that.
Al-Jabbar.
Omar Al-Jabbar.
Get a cab and I'll join you.
Okay, open door. We'll come back. Here's a taxi. Hello.
Wait for me!
Algiers. Ooh. Look at that juggler. Can I talk to this guy?
Hello there.
Hello there.
Ah, a prosperous American.
Eh. You ever hear of Atlantis, old man? Do you know where to find Omar Al-Jabbar? What are you doing here on the streets?
You know where to find Omar Al-Jabbar?
Omar is one of my best customers. His shop is on the other side of the marketplace.
What are you doing here on the streets?
I'm a beggar, Effendi. It is my job to be here. Today, I'm offering a discount. Give me food and I'll give you a free gift.
I don't have any food.
You ever hear of Atlantis, old man?
Atlantis. Atlantis. No.
Well, if we find food,
How's business?
we need to come
I've
back.
seen worse. Today, I'm offering a discount. Give me food and I'll give you a free gift.
You're saying that because you have
Now,
something
let me get
important to
back
give
work,
us.
please.
But I don't have any food right now.
Sophia,
Yes?
mind if I look at your necklace?
What do you think you're doing?
Calm down. Open.
Look, but don't touch.
All right, all right. How do I get out of here?
Thanks. He's an artist with those knives. Excuse me,
Yes?
do you know where to find Omar Al-Jabbar?
He has a shop nearby behind the marketplace.
Nice knives.
Yes, they were a gift from my father, the greatest knife thrower in North Africa. I'm trying to follow his example. But alas, no one will volunteer to be my assistant since the accident.
Oh.
Sorry to bother you.
No bother. I just wish a volunteer would step forward to assist me.
I'm assuming the assistant has to stand in front of the star thing and he throws knives at you.
They're a happy bunch.
And I can't walk over to it right now. Okay. Let's talk to him one more time. I want to see if I can become his assistant. That sounds like fun.
Excuse me,
Yes?
I'd make a wonderful assistant.
It's refreshing to see such spirit. But my assistant must be a woman. Show business, you know.
Amigara says, yep, the honestly questions that involve religion are going to be tricky anyways. They could also be a practicing Catholic, and if they wanted to hear from that point of view, but they asked you and you answered honestly, Yeah, you know, and I going back to that question a little bit, I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone's religious convictions. Religious beliefs are, you know, very strong and powerful things for lots of people, and I absolutely respect people's dedication to those things. While I'm not a person of faith, that I think that, and some people, that faith is an immense step of bravery. And I've met not many, but a few very devout, faithful people, and they the courage it takes for them to commit to their worldview is always impressive. I'm certainly not a person that shares that worldview, and I didn't want to be disrespectful. And the more I think about how I answered that person's question, maybe I was a little bit. If they're practicing, and if their community and their heart is telling them that this is not the right thing for them to do, then they absolutely shouldn't do it. You know, I think it's really important to go back to what I said before. Hey, StartRec, welcome to the show. StartRec, I had a question in just a few minutes ago about a person who's Catholic and 20 years old and has a boyfriend that he or they want to have sex with, and they feel an immense amount of guilt about the idea of doing that. They haven't had sex with anyone before, and they're concerned about doing it and then feeling horrible about it. And their question was, how do they get over their fear of feeling guilty about it? And there's not a really good answer. A really good answer to that. All any of us have is what our hearts tell us is right and what our hearts tell us is wrong. And if your heart tells you that sleeping with your boyfriend is wrong, then I guess don't do it. I don't know if I understand what that means for a person in this type of situation, a person like the letter writer. But if your worldview is telling you that it's wrong, don't do anything that you think is wrong. Sex is great, and it is, and people have really profound emotional and sometimes even spiritual reactions to having sex with another person. But if your spiritual convictions are telling you that it's the wrong thing to do, you're 20, don't do it. I would also tell you, don't get married when you're super young either, because I don't think that's a great idea. But take some time and really think it through. StarRex says, classic good understanding Jeremy advice. Yeah, you missed it, StarRec, before when I told them that their worldview about how God works is wrong, which I don't think is necessarily the right thing to do. Let's talk to Sophia and see if we can get her to be the assistant.
I think you should volunteer to help the knife thrower.
No, you don't, Jones.
Do it and I'll let you wear my hat.
I'll let you wear my fist if you keep this up.
Oh. If you haven't seen any of our Indiana Jones episodes, you should know that StartRec has a giant crush on Sophia. He's real into her. Even though she's maybe like 4.5 bits at the most.
Come on, assist the guy, will you?
Nope.
Think about the effect on international relations.
I'm thinking about the
StartRec,
effect on my health.
are you so desperate that you'll date a video game character, a heavily pixelated video game character from 1992?
The man's desperate. He needs your help.
Is this your idea of a friendly nudge?
Please, it's perfectly safe.
You never give up, do you?
I just think you should learn something about the local culture, up close.
You call this cultural?
Oh, is that racist?
I don't know. Those knives look dangerous.
Sophia,
What?
We won't get anywhere until you volunteer.
Stop trying to push me into this.
Oh, I get it. You're chicken.
Well, cock-a-doodle-doo. I'll never volunteer.
So where's your sense of adventure?
I'm going to start saying, well, cock-a-doodle-doo. Let's take a little break and let's talk to this guy. She's not doing that.
Excuse me.
Yes?
No, Starrek, I'm not going to read
You know
what
where
you
to
just
find
wrote out
Omar
loud. I'm
Al-Jabbar?
surprised, honestly,
Omar
that the
is
Twitch,
speaking to
the
shop is
Twitch
down the
filter
alley.
didn't get it. I didn't hear what he said. Well, it looks good today.
What looks good today?
Today we have a special. Squab on a stick. Only 20 dinars.
Is that a lot?
Do you accept U.S. currency?
Sorry, no.
Oh, Squab would sure hit the spot.
20 dinars, Effendi.
Are you sure you won't take U.S. currency?
I absolutely will not accept filthy American dollars.
Ooh. Is there more? There is more. Who's this?
Excuse me.
What can I do for you, Effendi?
Are you Mr. Omar Al-Jabbar?
I am but a humble shopkeeper. My name is unimportant.
Do you ever deal in antiquities from Atlantis?
Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Many a fool dreams of the Lost Kingdom. How may I know your intentions are serious?
I got a PhD.
I've got a PhD. Will that do?
You have quite a sense of humor, I see.
Excuse me again.
Yes?
I'm really interested in Atlantis.
And I really need some reason to take you seriously.
I'm not sure I know what you mean.
For example, it is said that 3 stone discs were needed to open the gates of Atlantis. Show me one of those if you can.
I saw a stone disc once, but someone stole it.
That's too bad. I don't discuss the Lost Kingdom with amateurs.
What if I show you my copy of The Lost Dialogue of Plato?
Excuse me. I think this may interest you.
No, thank you. I'm not interested in books.
What about a magazine?
Excuse me. I think this may interest you.
Sorry. Not interested in your kind offer, I'm afraid.
Okay, well, that's all I got. Okay, so let's leave. Not much is happening. Let's go and talk to this guy again.
Excuse me.
Yes?
Are you absolutely sure I can't help you?
Not a chance, Effendi.
I don't know what to do. Let's talk to her again.
Excuse me.
What?
What do we do now?
We need an Atlantean stone disc to show Omar. Maybe we should talk to Trottier again.
All right, we'll go back.
Do you have any dinars?
No.
We won't get anywhere until you volunteer.
Stop trying to push me into this.
That's a really good point, Amigara. Maybe I should get Sophia to talk to that dude.
Please, it's perfectly safe.
What's with you anyway?
You gotta see this genius in action.
Really?
Oh,
I don't know. Those knives look dangerous.
can I push her? talk one more time.
Sophia,
What?
Why do you have to go back all the way over there?
Algeria. Never mind.
Okay, I'm gonna go back. I don't think it's gonna work, but just for my peace of mind, I'm gonna see if I can get her to talk to the dude in the antiques place, and then I think we're gonna need to go back. It seems like she's telling us we need to go back to Monte Carlo, but let's do this.
Excuse me.
What is it?
You think this guy is Al-Jabbar?
There's only one way to find out.
He wants to see a stone disc.
Maybe we better get one and show it to him.
Of all the shops in Algeria, we had to walk into this one.
Casablanca
We'll
reference.
always have Iceland, Indy.
Hot enough for you?
It'll get a lot hotter if the Nazis beat us to Atlantis.
Okay,
Let me think.
I'm going back.
Okay.
I'm going back to Monte Carlo. That's what we're gonna do. We got to figure out. It's all up to that Trottier guy. We got to figure out how we're supposed to talk to him.
I don't want to disturb them. They look kind of busy.
That's weird. Can I go over here? Is there anywhere else I can go? Oh.
We'd better not go out there. We'll just get lost.
Okay. Star Trek says, "Is that an okay Nazi joke?" I mean, I think they're being literal. We do have to get to Atlantis before the Nazis do.
You find Trottier and I'll do the rest.
There's some gimmick here to getting him to participate in the seance series.
Just a moment, monsieur. Well, hello again, Dr. Jones. How can I help you? Madame Sophia wants another seance. Well, she is a charming woman. So, I'll do it. Please, lead the way.
Yeah, Star Trek, we were here before. We couldn't get him to stay for the seance, and we figured it wasn't the right time, so we went to Algiers.
Have a seat,
And
Monsieur
now, and it seems really clear this is the next move. This is the move.
Is he here?
Keep him busy. I'm going to try something.
All right then. Give me a minute while I set him up. Thank you for giving me another opportunity, monsieur. Now then, I need a token of power to set the mood.
Well, I have the stone key. I truly believe it is from the lost city.
Very good indeed.
Yeah, Star
Now we
Trek,
can begin.
the chat hasn't been helping out a whole lot, but if anyone has any ideas, let me know. I definitely think this fuse box here, use fuse box.
The lights. What happened to the lights?
I think Narab Sal is trying to signal us.
Oh, the lights are on again.
Narab Sal works his ways in shrouded mystery.
Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah.
The lights. What happened to the lights?
I think Narab Sal is trying to signal us.
What else can I do?
That doesn't seem to work. Oh, the lights are on again.
Narab Sal works his ways in shrouded mystery.
There's there must be things I can do here to manipulate the room.
Blah blah.
Let's move on. We must find my spirit guide. I sense the presence of Narab Sal nearby.
Oh, there's a stone disc. What if we do this?
The lights. What happened to the lights?
I think Narab Sal is trying to signal us.
Must he be wandering around? It makes me nervous.
Dr. Jones, if you please.
I see. We gotta get that stone disc. How do we do it? This is it. This is it. This is the game. Use the fuse box again.
Oh, the lights are on again.
Nurab Sal works his ways in shrouded mystery.
Well, madame, I've seen enough. It was entertaining despite the interruptions.
Amigara says, pick it up and push it while the lights are out. Well, I tried to walk over there and it wouldn't let
again,
me.
Indy. I thought you were going to try something.
Gee, it's tough to make a living as a psychic.
It'd be easier if I had some help, mister. I'm going to try something.
I was trying something. Oh, there's a flashlight in there. Okay, there has to be some like whole like little pickup bedspread. Yeah. Yeah. I bet I put the bedspread on and I look like a ghost. And maybe I use the flashlight. Can I pick up the flashlight? And now we're cooking. What's this? Is that a candle? It won't let me do anything with the candle. Okay, so we're gonna try again. And I bet you there's some bed sheet flashlight combination with the lights off that we do. And he's, yeah, that's it. Okay, let's try it again. I like how all of this is just us stealing this thing from him in the dark when he sits it on the table. Real classy. Okay, next time he comes around, we're gonna get him to go back up. We're gonna turn off the lights. Here he is.
Monsieur Trottier?
And then we're gonna use the blanket and
Well, hello
the
again, Dr.
flashlight.
Jones. How can I help you? Madame Sophia wants another seance. Well, she is a charming woman. So I'll do it. Please lead the way.
That was easy, sucker. Okay, here we go.
Have a seat, Monsieur Trottier.
At least they give you lots of chances.
Is he here?
Keep him busy. I'm going to try something.
All right then. Give me a minute while I set him up. Thank you for giving me another opportunity, monsieur. Do you still have the key?
Yes, here it is.
Okay, so now I'm gonna use this.
The lights. What happened to the lights?
I think Nurab Sal is trying to signal us.
Man, this guy's real not smart. And then use the flashlight.
Is he trying to scare me by wearing that sheet on his head?
Dr. Jones, if you please.
That didn't go the way that that I thought it would.
That sheet looks ridiculous.
Okay.
Really, Dr. Jones?
Well, madame, I've seen enough. It was entertaining despite the interruptions.
I thought it was such a good idea.
Au revoir.
Turn the lights on, will you please?
Ah.
You lost him again, Indy. Great move, Jones.
It seemed like a good idea at the time.
Stop acting like it's Halloween. On second thought, maybe you should find a way to spruce up that costume.
Yeah.
Your ghost act almost worked.
Did it? there more stuff?
It's open already.
What am I missing? If somebody wanted to look this up and like give me a indirect hint or something, or even a direct hint in the chat, I wouldn't be against it. Just letting you know. I'm not against it. There's nothing else in this room that I can use. If I use this.
Now is not the time.
Oh, well, I can't practice. Yeah, there's nothing else in this room that I can get.
Listen.
You think you're so clever.
Gee, it's tough to make a living as a psychic.
It helps to avoid cheap tricks.
Doesn't seem to close.
Yeah. There's nothing else. Can I... Okay. I'm missing something.
Nothing interesting over here.
Let's take a little break. If I haven't mentioned recently, if you would like to seek advice from me, your friend Jeremy International, you can head on over to JeremyInternational.com, and there's a contact form at the bottom there that you can do you can submit a question to. I read them anonymously. We have a few more questions. I'm going to read another one. Trying to find one that's not too long. Okay, let's see how this one goes. I haven't really read through this one very closely. Thanks, StartRec, but what mask? I don't have a mask. There's no mask. Where did I get the mask from? Did I miss a mask? Do I need to go back somewhere to get a mask? I don't have a mask. Okay, here's the question. I have been with my boyfriend for 1.5 years, and last week I casually asked him about our future. I asked if he ever wanted children. I don't. I've never felt a calling to it. He does, though, it turns out eventually, he said. He didn't ask me if I did. I love him more than anything, and I kind of thought we were on the same page about this. We both enjoy the dual income, no kids lifestyle. Exclamation point. I realize it doesn't matter that much right now because we're only 26, but I just feel confused about what to do. Older women tell me I'll change my mind about having kids, that the biological clock will kick in, but who knows if that's true? I feel like there's no roadmap for this compared to other common relationship issues. Like, should we break up because of this or not? I'm pretty sure the way forward is just to take it one day at a time, but it's like I'm holding a ticking time bomb in my mind, worrying about whether and when we will have to break up. So 26. 26 is lots of people have kids before they're 26. Plenty of people have kids way after. When you're in a relationship with somebody, I feel like it's kind of even when you're in a relationship with someone and you're in your 40s, even when like you're married and maybe you already have a kid, hypothetically, relationships are kind of about being in a committed relationship with someone really means committing to change, because people change. Change is inevitable. So maybe, he wants to have kids later. You're really confident you don't want to have kids now. Maybe one of the two of you will change over time. Maybe you won't. Maybe this will be a thing when you've been together for 10 years and you wake up one morning and realize that now it's time to end the relationship because you two want different things. Is it easier to end? How long have you been together? For a year and a half. Is it easier to end a relationship after a year and a half than it is after 10 years? Yes, much easier. But do you need to end the relationship now over this particular issue? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I probably not. I think you're 26. Maybe I know some people. I have a friend, for example, who commits to having, when they are dating someone and things work really well, that they commit to a finite, I don't remember what number of years it is, but they commit to like a specific time frame for that relationship. And they commit with that person, hey, we're going to be really serious for 5 years or 6 years or 10 years or whatever. And when that time is up, let's sit down and have a real conversation about whether we want to keep going or not. And if we do, then we'll move ahead. And if we don't, then we won't. And I think there's some kind of, brilliance in that. If you're not quite sure if you're on the same page, if you're not quite sure you even want to have a relationship that lasts a super long period of time. So maybe, you commit to waiting a set number of years. You're 26, maybe things are going really well. Maybe you commit until you're both 30 and then you have the conversation again and say, hey, this is where I'm at. I still don't want to have kids. Do you still want to have kids? And just like plan on having, it's like the way the president gives a State of the Union, like have like a sit down and serious conversation on a set period of time. And if there's no change from either of you, then when you sit down to have that conversation, maybe that's when you start to wrap it up. I think it'd be a good idea to maybe not move in with this person, hypothetically, since this is such a profound difference in values that you should at least proceed with that very cautiously, or doing something like getting married, for example. This should be a thing that the two of you continue to talk about on I'm not saying every day or every week or every month or maybe every year, but on a regular basis moving forward, just to see if your feelings start to change as time goes by. That's one way to do this. If you really like each other and you're really happy together, you don't need to, what's that phrase? You don't need to borrow worry just yet. Neither of you are at a point where the decision to have kids is going to be taken away from you, probably. So keep that in mind too. I think that's one way of thinking about this, is if you're love each other and you're having a good time, continue to love each other and have a good time, but check in to see if there's going to be any growth. The other way to think about this is this is a fundamental life thing. Having kids, not having kids. You're, as a person that didn't have kids and now does, your life before having a kid and after are very different. This is a huge feature of a life. And if there's no real I mean, I guess having pets is kind of sort of a substitute, but not quite. And if he wants to have kids and you don't, then if that doesn't change, then this isn't going to work out. So, do you end the relationship now after a year and a half, or do you end the relationship after you've been together for a much longer period of time where splitting your lives apart becomes a much more traumatic experience? So I don't know, you have to decide how committed you are and what you think the possibility of changing your mind is. And you need to be able to understand that from him too. But people change. I personally didn't want to have kids for most of my life. I didn't want to have kids until I did want to have kids. And then I very much wanted to have a kid. And I'm very, very happy that we have a kid. Even though sometimes she can be a real experience. So I can tell you from firsthand experience, people change in all kinds of weird and unexpected ways over their lives. And maybe you'll change, maybe he'll change, but don't count on it because sometimes you don't. So I would proceed very cautiously. The other thing I think that's important to say about this, man, I'm sure I'm so rambly tonight and it's been a long week. But another way to think about this from my perspective is, and this is also one of the things when it comes to relationships I believe in very much, is that you have to be willing to risk big to be able to win big when it comes to your heart. And so continuing to date a person that wants something so profoundly different from their life than you do is a big risk. And if you lose, then you're going to have a really difficult situation sometime down the road, a heartbreaking, devastating situation where you'll have to end a relationship that maybe you've been with this person for a long time. And then you decide to end because he wants to have a kid and you don't. And then you'll see him find somebody else and fall in love and have a kid with that person and become a parent and go through this very profoundly different journey. And you'll see that and it's going to hurt. It's going to be really hard to see that happen. That's what happens if you lose. If you win, then maybe he changes his mind and he doesn't want to have kids, or maybe you change your mind and you do. And then you have a life with a person that seems you're very connected to and serious about. So that's what relationships are. That's what love is it's risk. It's risk analysis. It's a year and a half. You're young. If you're really happy, if you really like him, keep going, but check in regularly with him and with you to see if those feelings are changing in any way. And maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years, you realize that those feelings aren't going to change. And then that's the time to call it and you got to move on. Before I met my wife, the longest relationship I was with a person that had a profoundly different value set than I did. But we loved each other and we had fun together and we built a life together. We lived together for a very long time and we had a whole situation for a very long time. And when it became clear that value system was not reconcilable, we had to divide our lives up, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever done, keeping in mind that I've done some pretty hard, gnarly shit in my life. And I don't regret it. It was a hard thing to do, but it was the right thing to do for me. It was the right thing to do for her, I'm sure. And I'm in a situation now that I never thought I could be in. Because I made that I guess both made that really hard decision so many years ago. So just, keep that in mind. If you want to stay in the relationship, do, but check in and be prepared for the idea that this might be a very painful and difficult thing that you'll have to separate yourself from at some future date if you and him don't change. The older you get, the harder it is to have kids. So, but you're far from that age now. And so you have lots of time to think about it. But time has a, tendency to sneak up on you. I hope that was helpful. And it's kind of bleak to think about in those ways. But these types of value judgments are really hard to reconcile with two different people. And, I'm definitely have been guilty of in previous relationships. And I know lots of people have to just kind of get into this mindset where you're like, well, if only this really profound, massive thing about this person I'm dating could change, then everything would work out. The thing about dating other people is that they're other people and you can't control what they think and what they feel and what their values are. They're a whole separate person. If you wanted to date a person that was just like you, then you could just date yourself and, take yourself out to a nice dinner every once in a while. I think people that do that take lots of baths. It seems like a bath-heavy kind of worldview. And that's a wonderful way to be. Starrek says, he, my marriage, oopsie doopsie. Yeah, Starrek, I know. That was... That's what happens. You mix your life up with another person, and other people are always going to be other people. And there's only but so much you can do to communicate with another person in a real way. And people change. And sometimes people change in shockingly unpredictable ways. And that's just, that's what we do. The alternative is to be alone, which is an alternative people choose, I think, in a lot of cases for that very reason of how unpredictable other people can be. But we're all unpredictable. We're all a mess. I'm changing the subject a little bit. This is a thing I think about a lot. The idea of knowing someone else, or even knowing yourself. People are so, our inner lives, our consciousness are so complicated and so nebulous and so always changing. I don't know if there's a thing to know when it comes to knowing another person. We tell ourselves stories about ourselves that hopefully approximate some parameters to our personality. But is there really a thing to know about another person? People are so complicated, and our inner lives and our inner thoughts are so complex that I don't know if you can know even yourself, let alone someone else. The best you can do is to know the stories someone tells about themselves and about their life. And that's the closest you can get to knowing a person, is to know their stories. Because I don't think there's a thing, there's not a core inside any of us that's really knowable. Because we're so complicated and we change so much. I don't think the goal is to know someone. I think the goal is to know someone's stories that they tell about themselves. I think it's the best any of us can do. Man, that's deep. Starrek talking about when they were married and now divorced. We are both better off, and she has blossomed. I'm not in blossoming mode, but I will eventually. She has a master's degree now. And Starrek, another part of the stream you missed from earlier is when I told people to never get a master's degree. But good for her that she has. I'm very happy for her, Starrek says. Lord, I feel that. That's why I am happy for her. Yeah. Starrek, I'm blossoming mode is for some people, and I'm going to include myself in this, is maybe not always achievable for any sustainable period of time. You know, I mean, while we're talking about like knowing people, you know, like another thing to keep in mind is everybody, and I'm not talking about you specifically in this case, Startrek, I'm maybe talking more about myself. Everybody is, you know, I guess, you know, going back saying you can't really know a person, but you can know their stories. You can also know, when in knowing someone's stories, you can also know their trauma. And trauma is something everyone has. It's a dramatic word. Maybe there's a milder word for it. But everybody, even a person that's lived the most privileged, peaceful, healthy, and happy life, has something. It might be, compared to other people's lives, something minor, but something that's shaken them and that's altered the course of their life moving forward from that event, that and not for the better. I guess that's how I'm defining trauma, is something happens, things happen to all of us at some stage in our life that throws us off the path, that throws us off the tracks. And we don't always get back on in the same way that we had before that. And that sucks. And for me, at least, I can say in my experience that some of the things that have happened to me have thrown me far enough off the tracks that some of those tracks I can't ever get back on. And it's not realistic for me to try. And that's okay. I'm on another track that's great. I'm very happy about the track that I've found myself on. It's not the one that I thought that I was going to be on at some earlier stage in my life. It's not the one that I think that I was on before a series of unfortunate events befell me. But I'm very happy about where I am, and I don't think I'd change anything, more or less, especially if I thought it would put me in a different place than I am right now. By the way, that's my take on on Lord of the Rings. Is, to me, that's the theme of that story. And I suspect that Tolkien meant that when he wrote that, because remember, he had fought in the trenches in World War I. Is that there are things that can happen to an individual. There are things that can happen to a culture or a society or a people. And there are things that can happen to the world that never heal, that we never get over. And that we have to learn to live our lives with that wound and that trauma. Because you can't undo it. There's some things you can't undo, and there's some things you never really heal from. And maybe that's sad, and maybe that's unfair, but that's how it is. And that's one of the reasons I love those books, is because I think that's what those books are about, and I think that's really meaningful, at least to how I relate to my life, and how maybe some of you can relate to experiences from your lives too. Sometimes the thing that doesn't kill you just fucks you up forever. And you just have to learn how to deal with that particular flavor of being fucked up. And you can, and you learn how to handle it. And sometimes your life still turns out to be pretty rad after all of that. And I feel like that's how I feel about my life right now. Oh boy, man, this was a deep night, guys. I wish I had saved all these wisdomful nuggets for a night where I had more people streaming. Starrek says, some of the best advice Jer ever gave me right now. Thanks, buddy. Even though it wasn't my question, I still want to still have an 8-bit girlfriend. I'm sure, Startrek, that there are ways to have 8-bit girlfriends in the world. Although I don't know how much they're going to interact with you back. Okay, I need to figure out where to get a mask to put with my costume here. I think what I might do before next week is just to kind of dig into like some walkthroughs. I won't read it too closely, but I'll kind of get like an overview just so I don't kind of get stuck in these situations where I don't know what I'm doing. I will be back. I will be back next week for sure, though. Amigara says, never stop dreaming. I know, I'll never stop dreaming, Amigara. Dreaming about what? I don't know. What do I dream about? I am very sleepy. So we're going to wrap up here. And can I remember, how do I... there's my little save screen. I'll save, and we'll pick this up next week on next Monday. Amigara says, I did try finding a walkthrough, but I missed some streams, so I don't know even how to find where you'd be in the walkthrough. Good point, Amigara, but thanks for trying. I appreciate it. I think I'm gonna go through the walkthroughs just enough to kind of have like a outline, because you know, like a lot of people that play video games online kind of go through blind, but this is the type of video game where it gets real boring real quick if you don't know what you're doing. And I don't want to make you, I'm more than playing a video game here. Is, this should at least be a little entertaining for everybody. So I think I'll try to have a little bit more of a game plan next time so that I can at least keep the show rolling. I also, though, got in the mail today Pikmin 4. I love the Pikmin games for my Switch. I'm very excited to play this. I love these games. They're so good. Pikmin 1 was for the GameCube. Pikmin 2, I think, was also for the GameCube. And Pikmin 3 was for the Wii U, but then it got re-released for the Switch. And I played them all. I've completed them all. And I'm very excited to have a new adventure to play. But I don't think I'm going to stream that unless everybody really, really wants to. Just because, yeah, StarRex says, yes, play a modern game. Oh, you want me to play a modern game? I know, but everybody's playing modern games. I'm trying to be unique. I also would really like to start having guests again. Amigara says, absolutely love how many times you can frustrate Mansoor enough to walk off and then lure him back. I know, he's a real sap. I should try to see if he can get me some money so I can buy stuff from the guy. I think we're going to play Indiana Jones for at least a little bit longer, at least one more week. If I can kind of get the game rolling a little bit so that it stays engaging, I might even go beyond next week. But I got some folks that I do have tentatively lined up for guests for future shows. I really like the episode where I went through a list of records that I really like. That was fun. Maybe I'd do that with movies. That'd be cool to do 10 horror movies that I like a lot. That'd be cool. Or just 10 movies in general that I really like. So, we'll mix it up. It's not always going to be games. I feel like we've been doing this for a long time. But we'll do one more week, at least, of Indiana Jones. And then we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I can do Amigar. Well, I'll do, even regardless of what we do next week, I'll at least have 1 or 2 movie recommendations. How's that? Oh, and Start Rec, I never did that 10 records that I think are really important. I never put that on the blog. I'll try to get that in again this week. We have a blog at Jeremy International that I sometimes post to. My post on the blog that's gotten the most number of views is the one that just says Shauna Na is punk as fuck. I'm very proud that that's gotten more views than anything else. But we'll continue to iterate. We'll continue to play with the format, and we'll see how it goes. But thanks for joining, everybody. This has been the Advice Stream. Why am I losing my voice? Jesus. This has been the Advice Stream. I'm your host, Jeremy International. We've been live on Twitch. We've been live on Facebook. We've been live on YouTube. We will be back next Monday at 9 p.m. All previous episodes, by the way, of the Advice Stream are located at JeremyInternational.com. Since most of our traffic comes from Twitch, and Twitch only lets you keep a video up for a week, you might not be able to see previous episodes, but you can at Jeremy International always. So head over there if you want to. There's also ways there that you can send me tips if you've enjoyed the show. There's no obligation to do so. If you're having fun, that's all I really care about. But yeah, StartRec says anything shareable. Oh, I know shareable.ill, I think it is, right? Is a way to share stuff that you're into. I should give that a try. But thanks again, everybody. Thanks for joining in and participating, those that did. And we will see you next week.